Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel. So we're going to start off today by checking out the brine shrimp tank. So I appear to have harvested nearly every brine shrimp that was in there. So I'm going to have to do some more, or hatch some more I should say. I'm topping that off, like I cleaned it out. You can see I sucked most of the waste off the bottom. I used my top off water that was mixing for the tank upstairs. And like I said, I have lots of brine shrimp around here. I got 2 cans of this stuff. So now I had to search forever, because you would not believe how hard it is to find instructions written in ANSI, which is, if you're not from America, that's the standard of measurement we use over here. Yeah, we should probably switch to metric, and I should probably learn metric, but I've been using ANSI my whole life. So they still sell, aquariums and aquarium equipment measured in gallons over here. So, I mean, for the most part, we have switched to the metric system. I mean, I use all metric tools at work, but, for stuff like this, it's still an ANSI. So I had to look it up. It is 1.5 tablespoon or teaspoons per gallon. I get about 5 gallons in there. And I'm going to add more water so I can hatch more of these things. But this is like a scoop that one of these came with a long time ago. This can has just been in the basement, so it may be no good. This can's been in the fridge, but it's old. So the reason I have 2 cans is I found one super cheap at a garage sale. So that's about a teaspoon. So we're just going to start with like 2 from this one. And then I'll open this one. Go 2 scoops out of this one too, since this one's probably the one that's more likely to be good still. And I hope that's enough for aeration to hatch these guys. It should be. But we'll find out. So we'll do about like we'll do just another whole scoop of that to start with. And in a couple of days, I'm just gonna add some more water and add some more brine shrimp eggs, so that I'll still have some fresh food to feed to the tank upstairs. The food I've been feeding them, the powder, the phytoplankton, they ate it right up. So I didn't have any problem raising these guys with that stuff. So we're doing a partial water change on the Reef 250 to try and get that salt number down. And I'm going to do it kind of low-tech style. Over here I have my waste bucket with my waste cup in it, and my fresh RO with my fresh RO cup, which that don't just sit in there. I'm going to have to pull this table over. So since I'm just fixing the salt, it's just a tiny partial change. I'm going to start with a couple of gallons, since this is number 1 cold. And since I'm changing the salt, I want to watch it really close as I do this. Got my towels ready. So that's only about a gallon. I think that's about all that's in here. But like I said, I'm going to do this slow. So I'm not sure how quick the Apex is going to pick up on that, because the salt probe has always been the slow one. So back to the Apex again. ORP was all the way up above 200. I turned the wave pumps down and that brought it back down. So that's just the wave pumps right there. The wave pumps are now turned down to 20% instead of 30. I think it looks better in there. Salt is already down to 35.3, but again, I'm not quite sure. I was dumping that RO water directly into. I was dumping that RO water directly into the return, and all this stuff is in the return. So yeah, you can see where the temperature kind of dropped there. I probably did that. So that's working. And from here we'll just keep an eye on it, because 35 is not too far away from 34. That's pretty close to where it should be. Cube tank here. Recordia frag. The urchin seemed determined to run it over, and apparently did the other night. Last night to be specific. Again, it's still just absolutely coated in algae. It's mostly brown. I mean, it's just on the glass, and I can eventually scrape that off. So, but when I was setting up the Reef LEDs, I went into the ReefBeat program and altered the light program on the LED 50's. And when I did that, I turned the moonlights on for all night. And when I tried to save the program, it gave me a warning and said corals need 6 hours of darkness per night, which I have no reason to doubt that. Obviously there's no coral in here, so it doesn't matter. I just wanted the light to be on when I was home, you know, when I come home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm thinking, you know, it's possibly been my light on this tank all this time. That's been, I mean, I've been sure pretty much all along that it was the light that was doing it, because so when I put this this light on this tank here, obviously I don't have a par meter, so I don't know, you know, how much light is too much and stuff like that. I'm still trying to figure stuff like that out. But this light, being as powerful as it is, was probably turned up too high, and I had like cyano and all kinds of algae problems in it, like nothing like what this is now, so much worse. That's partially, you know, what made this tank so unhealthy was I was burning it to death with the light. And I may still be doing that, but as of right now, I have both the daylight white lights and the blue lights turned all the way down all the time. But let me show you what this light is capable of. This is just the blue, and it'll go from there. Not done yet. There. That's max light. I mean, this light is just intense. So turn that back all the way down. Maybe at another time I'll show you how bright the daylights are on this thing. And who knows, maybe this light is so big that I maybe should replace those with that light. I mean, I don't really know about lights. You know, I've been doing saltwater a long time, but I've been doing it wrong most of that time. This is a Tautronics light. If you know anything about it, let me know in the comments. I mean, basically anything you guys can teach me is always going to be a big help to making these tanks better and keeping everything in here happy. The NEM it's moving a little further, and it's always folded like that, which is what's leading me to believe it's splitting. but it doesn't hardly ever open up more than that. That's the other thing you guys could help me with if you know. A slight update on the algae barn pods. Since I put them in, I've been following the instructions, feeding them this Ocean Magic. Feeding them right now, obviously. We'll take a look at this label. But here, we'll put it over here in the light. That's how much I've burned through already. So I've been feeding these things the recommended dosage, which is a lot, and occasionally I've been pouring some in here, just a little bit, just in case there's anything alive in there still. Put that there. But there has been a pod sighting. Earlier today, I was staring at the glass somewhere down in here looking to see if anything was here, and I definitely saw a copiapod. And it was one of the crawling around on the glass type, which could have only come from the algae barn supply. My Kato ball here, it's hard to tell since it got all scrunched up and everything like that with the filter sock being out, but it does look like there's a lot more Kato there than there was before. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that and bring it down as needed. I'm looking at the filter sock, and I haven't really seen anything in there like I was early on with the more free swimming type of pods that would load into this thing. I haven't seen any of them basically in weeks, since the last time I told you I hadn't seen any. But I did see the glass crawling around type, so that's a good sign. Maybe they are catching on, and hopefully the engineer gobies don't eat them all. So I'm guessing they'll eat small prey since they're small. I haven't been testing the tank as much as I should have. Today was the first time I tested it since I put the fish in, and that's pretty much the period I should have been watching it, but I wasn't. So I tested it today. Again, all across the board, everything's good. Everything on this kit, which is pH, which the Apex monitors anyway, they still read the same. Nothing on ammonia, nothing on nitrite, nothing on nitrate. Nothing in this test showed up bad. Calcium, the carbonate hardness was perfect. On the low side of perfect, but perfect. Calcium was perfect. Didn't do that test. Phosphate comes up good. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it cycled, if it didn't cycle, if it's still cycling, but all the parameters are good, so that's all I care about. And you know, with the blue lights on it and the door window or the curtain being open on the window, I didn't grow any algae, no diatoms or anything. It's only been a couple of days with the Reef LEDs, and I need to adjust that right side one again, but yeah, you know, everything's going great. So the ReefBeat app, the changes I've made, I've run my own program, which was basically what it took to turn these down to 20%. And I changed the wave pattern to browse the wave. The RS random is what I started with. So it's supposed to be the one that most likely resembles a natural reef. So that's what I did, and the only change I made was I turned it down from 40% to 20%. Obviously I named it testing. Program I created for the LEDs, I named that startup, and here's what the program looks like. So I shortened up the full day daylight, so it's only at 100%. Whoops. Alright, we'll get this plan view of it. This is the editor and what it looks like. You have to click, like if you want to adjust the whites, you click the white over there. And you can, you know, click one of these points where it mounts to and edit it, the intensity, what time it is. So you can move any of these points anywhere around. Got the blue lights there, which I turned down to 50% during the day. It looks a lot better, although I only got to see it at like somewhere here in the downswing. So the lights are only on for, let me just double check there. They're only on like full intensity for like maybe 5-6 hours. And then it peaks back down over the next 3-4 hours. Same thing for sunrise. You got a 3-4 hour build up. All right, so the moonlight is this purple one over here. You click that and it comes on. I've got it coming on as the lights are going down, so it matches, so it's at its full intensity when the lights falling down at about the same intensity. And then I carry it on all the way until like I start fading it down at about 4, and then about, you know, 7 a.m. is when they go out completely, which is right about when the lights come back on. Again, if coral needs darkness, that's fine. I don't have coral right now, so I don't need total darkness. And when I come home right around in this range, I can have lights on the tank so I can at least look at it on my way upstairs to go to bed. Cloud feature, like you can adjust, you know, what kind of cloud. And I have no idea what the difference is, but I'm going to set this so that maybe sometime around when I'm awake tomorrow, I can come downstairs and get a look at this, and we'll see what it does. And then once you finish a program, you do save or save as. Yeah, there's that warning. Corals need 6 hours of total darkness. Daylight, moonlight, not to exceed 18 hours. Like I said, I'm going to proceed anyway. And you can see as it updates the lights, it turns them off, turns them back on. And then there we go, it's all set. It's also got this handy little arrow here to let you know what time it is now. 12. Huh. Okay, so I am not on daylight savings time. So I'm going to fix that real quick. Alright, so I got hit with the bug that's been going around with the Reef LEDs and the ReefBeat app. Which is the time, the daylight savings time change, despite being turned on, did not affect my aquarium. So it now has the wrong time. So you have to go into your aquariums and you go into 250, which is my aquarium anyway, and edit aquarium, and yeah, like clicked off, so we got to turn it on. So you have to manually click that when daylight saving time ends and when it starts, which is ridiculous. But whoops, I didn't save that. All right, so back to my aquariums. Click that, edit aquarium. Click the daylight savings again. Save it this time. For sure, click save. What's going on here? So I click got it. And the save button won't do anything. No internet connection. No, I have tons of internet connection. Thank you very much. Press the save button again. Comes back to here. We'll just double check. And it's still turned on. Okay. Goes back to my lights. We'll click into that. Although we didn't need to do that, we just needed to go to the device manager, left light, go to about, and it now has the correct current time on it. Alright, so now that that's fixed, I'm going to show you this thing I figured out. So first, I have to turn off these lights. That one off. And we'll just turn the computer so the light does not filter through. So yeah, how's that look? Pretty dark, right? Okay. Back to the ReefBeat app. So it has this button on it, this little play button up here, and that will play my program. So you turn it on, you press play, and it starts in darkness, and then gradually comes up for the day, and then fades to darkness again before the blue light, moonlight fades off entirely. And then it returns to what it was. I had like a cloud in there. I'm not quite sure that did anything. I mean, I didn't see anything, and I don't want to flash the tank one more time because that'd be the third time tonight, despite how cool that is. So I gotta say, setting up the Reef LED 50s and the wave pumps and the ReefBeat app, honestly, it couldn't have gone very much smoother than it did. I had a couple of hiccups here and there, but I was able to figure them out rather quickly and get moving on with it. So I'm real happy with how the setup on all that went. I didn't have to really struggle at any point, which is, you know, obviously, quite the opposite of the Apex. I've got most of the stuff on the Apex working now. I'm pretty sure I've got it dialed in where I need it to be. Time will tell, but I figured out a couple of more design problems with it. The first one was the very first alarm I was getting from the second I turned it on was that Apex A fault from a few episodes back. Go back and watch it. So once I got that figured out and how to get that alarm to stop popping up, I started getting the ORP alarm because the ORP was low, which I didn't really care about. But again, this thing's been sending me, you know, an error about the ORP every hour on the hour for what, 3 weeks now. So putting those wave pumps in finally made the ORP go back up. Well, you know, once the ORP was above 200, I start getting another alarm from the ATK. It was basically giving me an alarm every time the high switch, which is the one that's supposed to be above water all the time, if that was dry, it would send me an alarm. You know, it's supposed to be dry. So why is it sending me an alarm when it's, you know, supposed to be dry and it is dry? I don't know. So I had to go in and unprogram that. But that exposed the bigger weakness, which is no matter how many alarms you have going on in the Apex, it's only going to show you one of them until you correct that alarm, which is quite scary because, you know, I mean, you could have all kinds of things go wrong and then you fix the one and something else pops up, you fix that. But in the meantime, you know, you're fixing stuff when you're not actually maybe seeing the actual problem that's causing the whole thing, because that alarm's buried somewhere. So yeah, that's not good. And again, you know, the Reef Wave 25s and the Reef LED 50s both came with manuals. I did use I think one of them maybe a little bit, and the rest of it was just a snap because the app did all the rest of the work for me. Definitely Neptune needs to take a lesson on how to set up aquarium equipment. That's how you send it to your customer. So that's probably going to be it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.